right, fellow babies. Welcome to the Pack Attack. We're operating under new ground rules. No whining, ever. Don't want to hear it. Won't be tolerated. Your Pack Attack feed will self-destruct if you even whimper while watching it. Don't want to hear it. This is from my friends from Brazil, Andre, Hupsel, and Vitor. Profit deal, baby. Love these guys. No whining. Don't want to hear it. Welcome back to the Pack Attack. From Twitter, we have a question from @DecuSpliff. How do you think GameStop will alter its business model as physical media becomes less relevant? It's already happened. You know, we've started to see migration to digital, certainly seen migration of handheld gaming to digital. PC gaming has gone about 70% digital. GameStop's been smart. You know, they haven't opened new stores in the last 2 or 3 years. The only new stores they open are to replace old stores. But net, they've been closing about 100 to 200 stores a year for the last 3 or 4 years. I do think there's an opportunity for GameStop to expand in Europe, so I think you might see them expand into a country like Germany where they have a very small presence, probably Scandinavia where they have a relatively small presence and they're pretty strong, profitable markets. But in the US, I think they continue to shrink their footprint. That is one way to address declining physical sales. The other thing that they have going for them is that all used games begin their lives as new games. And so as new game sales decline because of a migration to digital downloads, there's less potential for used. That doesn't mean there's less demand for used or that there are fewer people who value used game trade-ins and credits, which really tells me if 30% of all new games are traded in for used game credits, that 30% of new games purchased are purchased by people who care about used game credits. And if new games decline by half, I don't think that used declines by half. I think instead of 30% traded in, it'll become 60%. I think the last man standing who buys physical copies is the guy who trades in, which suggests to me GameStop's going to gain market share as Best Buy and Target and Walmart de-emphasize the category because sales are going down. So I don't actually think GameStop needs to adjust its model much other than continue to offer different products for sale in the store. They're right now offering used consumer electronics, so mostly iPhones and tablets and iPods. That can be a huge business. If they get the word out to gamers that, you know, when your mom or your sister gets a new iPhone, poach the old one and we'll give you $100 for it, a lot of gamers are going to poach the old one and get $100 for it. I think that's a huge opportunity for them. And a lot of people like buying used iPhones because they can't buy a new one if on the postpaid plan if they don't have credit. So if you don't have credit, you have to buy a prepaid plan. Buy a prepaid plan, you're not getting a discounted phone. So GameStop can sell an iPhone 5 for $400 instead of $650, and that's pretty meaningful to a lot of people. And they'll give you $200 or $300 trade-in credit for it. So worth a lot when the iPhone 5S comes out and the iPhone 6 comes out in September. Gosh, here's a blast from the past. So from the SPAC forum, from @wa. How much did the infamous red ring of death really affect this generation? There was a while when you could hardly mention the 360 without also mentioning red ring. Today it seems almost forgotten. With all said and done, did it affect the success of the 360 or not? You know, I think that's a good question if somewhat dated. Look, it was a disaster for Microsoft. Cost them $1 billion. That's $1 billion. Those of you keep asking what that means. Dr. Evil, do you not watch Austin Powers? What's wrong with you guys? Kyle, you didn't know Dr. Evil because you don't know movies, right? No, Kyle doesn't know Dr. Evil. Okay, yeah. He looks kind of like you. Yeah. Oh, with no hair. Anyway, it would cost Microsoft $1 billion. It should have been a disaster for them, but they did the right thing. They stepped up. They made people right. They gave them new Xboxes. They gave them a 3-year warranty on every one sold. Pretty much the red ring was guaranteed to happen within 3 years, so the warranty means the fixed ones kind of work. They redesigned the white box and made it a black box, and I've never heard of anybody with a black box getting a red ring, so they fixed the problem. And they pretty much, you know, finished in second this generation, but they did pretty well. So I'd say it affected them, and more important, their response is what affected them. They responded correctly. They made consumers whole. They acknowledged a mistake and they fixed it. It took them a while to acknowledge it. It was a serious problem for a lot of people, and they had a bad reputation. And it's a good example of a business taking a bad situation and turning it into positive for them. So yeah, it affected them, but I think it turned out for the better. I think consumers now have confidence if they buy a console from Sony or Microsoft or Nintendo and it doesn't work, that the manufacturer will make it work. So again, good for everybody that Microsoft would stand up and made it happen. From @Heidi's, how would Microsoft's marketing people feel about the use of Xbone to spell their new console name? I think you probably have to ask them, but that popped up during the reveal event. So Xbone is probably how most people are going to spell it. I doubt that I will do that. I never abbreviated Xbox as XB. I did abbreviate it as X360. So I may actually do XONE or Xbox #1. I think it was an unfortunate choice of names because it's going to give you guys a heyday, Xbone, and you guys, whatever an Xbone is, you guys seem to just revel in calling it that. But I don't think the Microsoft marketing people actually give a damn what you call it as long as you buy one and call it whatever you want. All right, fellow babies, if you have a question, please submit them to the Ask Pach link below, or submit them to me on Twitter @MichaelPachter. Make sure that you copy @GameTrailers and also apply the hashtag AskPach, and that's PACH for those of you who can't spell my name. It's not PATCH. I could answer that on Twitter. That was about 140 characters. All right, fellow babies, if you'd like to check out more episodes, you can do so on YouTube, or we'll save you some time. You can stay on the site, and you can check them out right there.
Awesome.
Awesome.
Cool.
Awesome.
Awesome.
Few outtakes.
The word of a generation.
It is kind of an odd word, isn't it?
Yeah, it's so stupid. I feel like an idiot every time I use that word.
Dr. Awesome.